episode 3, baby. They didn't think that we'd last this long, but we proved them wrong. Is this going to be our final episode? Might be. The corporate overlords at Random Nintendo HQ just might do that to us. The person who is in contact with them the most, though, Jason, is to my virtual left.
Hello. I am the man,
and
yes.
And to my virtual right, we got Angel.
That's me, Angel.
That's him, Angel. And Jason's our liaison with
corporate,
with RNHQ, and he's also our HR. So.
You know what sucks with RNHQ? They don't pay us.
Yeah,
I do appreciate that Jason pays them every year to keep.
Yeah, I pay RNHQ a lot, and I don't get anything in return.
Have you thought about asking them for that sweet Raid Shadow Legends money?
You know, I could pass it along.
I know, and there's like new.
It's weird because I've never met RNHQ either. It's like the you know when you like go into a boardroom and like in a movie, it's just those like blacked out like shadowy figures around a table. That's them. I don't know if they're fake.
Hold on.
What?
Have you ever seen RNHQ and Angel in the same room?
Are you saying secretly Angel is the man we've been trying to stick it to that I thought I was?
I'm not. I'm just. No,
you're just
going in.
That's true. I've never seen him in the same room.
To be fair, I never see Angel and Batman in the same room either. So
that's true. I've seen statues of Batman in the same room as Angel, but I've never seen Batman himself.
Angel,
would you like to comment?
I would like to neither comment or deny. I'm pleading the fifth.
You cannot confirm nor deny.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm pleading the fifth. There you go.
Okay, well, all right, perfect.
So today's episode is me, Kevin, and Batman, is what I'm hearing.
I'm not. No, no. Batman. No, I'm okay with Batman. Okay. Anyways, today we're gonna be talking some video games. We're gonna be talking some movies, music. After last week we barely did any games. Last week was not last week. Last episode was a very movie heavy. Mm-hmm. Heavy episode. I think this one's a little bit more balanced. Like I said, I'm going to be talking a little Final Fantasy XIV. We're going to be talking some movies with Angel and Jason. We're going to be talking some music, which we didn't do last episode, and some anime. Which did we do last episode?
I don't think
we did,
so.
Right?
Did we? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Or we did Ghibli, right?
No, I was going to do Ghibli, but we ended up
that
not talking about it.
We spent. I monopolized so much time on HBO Max and streaming that I think we cut Ghibli on the fly.
Yeah, because I talked about 2 movies. So
to Ghibli,
we didn't talk about any anime or any movies.
No worries. Well, let's get to it. First on the docket, Final Fantasy XIV. I started playing this. Angel, you also started playing this, right?
Yep, my first first MMO that I'm actually trying to actually invest. That I'm actually deciding to invest time in. Like I've played,
right.
I've touched on RuneScape. I think that's what it was called. Very lightly, a long time ago. And I just remember my brother and I just annoying people, just like following people everywhere. But we did it. I would hardly say like I played it, but yeah, it's kind of daunting. There's definitely a lot to. It's just interesting how different it is from a normal video game. But I will say though, it's something about seeing like actual players just running around, minding their own business, and knowing that I may most likely not even interact with most of them. I don't know. It just makes it feel like a living, breathing world. There's something kind of magical about that. That maybe that's
So this is also my first real MMO, and I mean listeners of Random Nintendo might know that I love the Destiny series, and like recently Destiny just isn't doing it for me nowadays. Side note: the current season actually sounds really cool. And the next expansion also sounds really cool.
The Stadia one, right?
And
the one that got announced with Stadia?
No, they last week announced
another new one,
right? They're doing a yearly.
They announced an expansion,
right? And it's gonna be yearly. They announced it to like 2022, didn't they?
Well, yeah. So they've always announced their yearly expansions around this time of the year, but this is the first time that they actually announced next year's expansion and the year after that,
which is interesting.
Like the first time. Yeah, which is really interesting.
It basically means no Destiny 3 anytime soon.
Definitely means no Destiny 3, which I'm of two minds. But something that Destiny and I guess Final Fantasy 14 have in common is that it's my favorite type of game. One where I could just like mindlessly do quests and stuff while like listening to a podcast, having a drink or two, and oh man, this game's going to ruin me. I don't know how you feel about it, Angel, but it took me 27 years to figure out that MMOs are literally the perfect genre for me.
Really? Damn. It's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah. Better late than never.
Yeah, so like I'd never wanted to get into World of Warcraft because like I do like not the Final Fantasy genre, but the fantasy genre. But its art style never really grabbed me. I know you like to play a lot of Hearthstone. How do you feel about that like art style?
I mean, Hearthstone definitely tunes up, and I mean like TOONS, like tunes up the already kind of cartoony art style of Hearthstone of World of Warcraft. I mean, some cards definitely look on model, but for the most part, especially with every expansion, I feel like they tunify them more. And I mean, that obviously appeals more to me because everything looks more animated. But
right.
I mean, I don't know. Like I honestly like the art style. Like I guess it does appeal to me because it is already kind of cartoony. And I mean, for lack of a better term, I mean the Final Fantasy art style just feels like generic RPG to me. Okay. But not that it looks ugly. I mean, everything looks like, at least what I've barely seen, like some of the buildings in the city I'm in, some like grass town. Like everything is really pretty. Like the enemies look awesome. Like the armor is highly detailed. But you know, like I wouldn't. I'm sure if you were to put up like Raid Shadow Legends character and someone from Final Fantasy 14, they would probably look.
You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Question for you though: do they do actually two things? One, Raid Shadow Legends better pay us. We keep name dropping them. Two, do they do?
They better hit us up.
Seriously, RNHQ, let's get on this. But no, do they have the tropes? Like I made the joke like a minute ago, like chocobos. Like, do they actually have like? Because you know, Final Fantasies are all so different, except chocobos and like other certain characters and certain creatures show up. Are those in 14? Is that the only like thread back to regular Final Fantasy, or is there actually something more? Final Fantasy about it?
I haven't played a Final Fantasy game, so I can't really say. But I mean, there's like a giant crystal at the center of a town, and I know the crystal is usually in every game, like the upside down diamond. I mean, there's that. Yeah. I mean, moguls
are
there.
Have you met anyone named Sid? Because I think Sid is another trope where there's always a guy named Sid. Have you met Sid? Is there a Sid?
No, so I think I've been playing for about 20 hours now. I have not met Sid. I've already met up with the Chocobos. There's nothing necessarily too Final Fantasy about it. Like if this didn't have the Final Fantasy name attached to it, I wouldn't be able to say like, oh, this Final Fantasy,
right?
Like, right. Even if you remove the Chocobos, but there are like threads. Like you obviously have your potions. You use Phoenix Downs and stuff like that. So it's less of a, it's more of the style of I don't know if style would be maybe the skin of Final Fantasy, just like an MMO.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because this is it's such a departure from the series. I was curious how they tried to relay it back. Yeah, because so far, 14 versus a spin-off like Crystal Chronicles or Tactics.
Because so far, it feels very MMO-ish. Although I guess I say that with a grain of salt because I don't really have a lot of MMOs to go on. Just what I've seen from media.
Yeah.
But it seems like everything is there. Like people, like forming groups for raids. Well, I guess not even raids, for quests, and I don't know. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I like I said, I didn't want to get into World of Warcraft because the art style never grabbed me. And there's also like Star Wars: The Old Republic, but I'm not a Star Wars guy. I don't know if you guys are.
Not enough to play Old Republic.
No, yeah. So I finally decided to give this a try because Newegg had the game on sale for like $30, and it was with like the base game and all the content, like all the expansions, which are like these huge 3 expansions. And for $30, there is a subscription, as with a lot of MMOs. I actually don't know if World of Warcraft got rid of their subscription, their monthly subscription.
I'm pretty sure it's still a thing.
15.
Yeah, I gotta imagine it's a thing, right?
I mean, last I looked a couple years ago, it was still a thing.
Yeah, so I think you still got to pay $15 a month for this, but I mean, I'm not gonna mind if I have like so much content to do. Like, from what I've heard, the newest expansion, Shadowbringers, apparently just doesn't have one of the best MMO stories or one of the best Final Fantasy stories. It just has one of the best stories in recent video game memory. So like, I can't wait to get to that content like 2 years from now, once I'm finally done with the other expansions. What I'm finding really fun about it personally is I'm actually role playing, which I guess that's where the RP and MMORPG comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But I gave my character this obnoxious as hell pompadour that starts pink at like the base of the hair and slowly turns like blonder the higher it gets. I named him Kevin Bromy because he's a bro. He's a pugilist, which is basically like the fighting class. Or like the monk class, and his whole deal is that he doesn't believe in swords to fight. He'd rather just use his hands because he's a man of honor. I'm like giving Kevin Bromy like a backstory. I'm trying to make him a womanizer to everything that I basically am not. So that's fun. Angel, I think you chose the healer.
Yeah, I'm the scholar.
After we said that we needed a healer.
Yeah,
so how's that going for you? Because like my character has obviously fighting moves. He doesn't use any mana. What does the healer do?
I mean, I love the hero. I mean, the healer. I mean, yeah, the scholar. I mean, first of all, like my character, his name is Legna Odalas. It's just my first and last name backwards, and
very fitting.
And
That's clever.
It sounded very like high fantasy, so I was like, oh, that sounds cool. But he's like this huge, giant, like jacked up dude. Like he looks like he was made for like the pits of of gladiators. But yeah, he's a scholar, so he's a magician, or not a magician, a mage.
He's a gentle giant.
Yeah, exactly. Like people will see him and be like, oh damn, he wants to fight, but he really doesn't. He just wants to support and just like get out of conflict. But but being the healer is cool. I mean, I love that I already get to use like wind spells, stone spells, and healing. It's very I could fight from long distance, which I definitely prefer. I mean, I don't know if it's because it's less things to memorize, but typically I tend to gravitate towards things that require less amount of inputs or things that don't require me to combo a lot. And I love that the scholar class just has like just really powerful spells that I could just use. I could just kind of lean on without having to string things together. It's just, all right, just keep using this, heal. It's a little simpler. Also because, like, I guess in our work from home life, I guess even if it wasn't work from home, like over the past month, I've structured my weeks pretty strictly. So I literally only give myself like an hour on Monday, Tuesday, and Sunday to play the MMO, which I feel is really nice, but I know I'm not going to progress as much. But I do like having that set amount of time because it makes me want to be more productive when I'm playing. Like actually looking for like, oh, where's the next quest? Where'd I have to go? And I don't know, it's fun. Also, I don't know why, I just really enjoy seeing people just like running around like crazy, like to and fro,
doing their own thing.
Yeah, and they have pets. I want a pet.
So like,
the heck.
Oh yeah, I think last night I finally got the option to get I think they're called companions, so can't wait to unlock that. But like as far as the questing goes, like so far for me, I don't know about for you, considering that you started off in a different starting area than I did, and you're all completely different class. My like the quest so far is like the standard, like go kill this amount of enemies, fetch quests, go find this person, same thing.
Yeah, find a person, kill 20 mushroom things.
Mm-hmm. But like I don't know about you, but that's my jam. Like just mindlessly
like manual labor,
killing enemies. Yeah, like it satisfies me in a way, in like a strange way. I don't know how. Like, do you guys feel the same way about those kinds of games, or like, is there any genre that fills you with like that kind of satisfaction?
I mean, the way you're kind of describing it kind of feels like that's what Rhythm Heaven does for me. Just like it's super simple, and like I just immediately get into it, and I could just kind of zone out to it. But I don't know.
Perfect. That perfect. Like, do you guys have that perfect zone out game? So you have Rhythm Heaven. I have like Destiny and now this.
I feel like I'm stealing Angel's answer, but WarioWare has always been like that for me. Like in a weird way, like questing and all stuff you guys talk about, and you're saying, how you're playing 20 hours and you're just getting to this one point or another point. Like for me, that grind just does not do it. Like Pokemon's probably the most grindy thing I'll do, and that's, you don't even have to grind in that. But like the simple pick up and play when you can just jump right in and just go. Like that, like I can kind of zen out to that, or like WarioWare, or even back on the regular like Random Nintendo podcast, we were talking about What the Golf, and that had kind of that similar vibe for me too, where it's just like something where it's like pick up and play, but like it gets real like weird within it. Like that usually just does it for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm in like Zen mode when I just gotta go kill some ladybugs. And, like, I remember last Sunday, I think I decided to play for about an hour before I had to like start driving to work, and I finished the quest, and I just thought to myself, all right, let me just do one more. Then I finished that one, and I got another quest, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty sure that I could finish this one pretty quickly. And before you know it, I was hauling ass to work because I just one more quested a little too much to the point where I was going to be late. It's like,
yeah,
it's like yeah, it's awesome. Then the other day, I got home from work and started playing. I think I started playing at 4, and then eventually Angel, your brother, like joined me in the voice chat. He's like, "Oh, how are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I've been playing like Final Fantasy." He was like, "Oh, what time did you start?" And I was like, "Oh, I started at 4." He goes, "Whoa!" And I was like, "What?" And then I look at the clock, and it was like midnight.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know if I have a game that is zen now in that same way. Like there's some I get lost in, but not for 6 hours. That's impressive. That is a true zen state.
Well, I guess because you guys, your jobs are a little more, I guess, involved with. My job is. I
mean, I could definitely do that on some weekends too. I mean, like a lot of like really difficult platformers like Super Meat Boy or, what's the other one that I was talking about? Or even like stuff like Resident Evil. Like once I'm getting into them, like I'll definitely disregard all time and food or whatever and just continue playing just because you get in the zone. But yeah, are you especially fighting games? I mean, I could just play Smash Brothers for hours if I'm not too careful.
Okay. Just rolling back. Are you allowed to talk about what you feel about Resident Evil 8?
I don't believe so. At least not yet.
You do not believe so? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Which is likewise for everyone wondering why we're dead silent on PS5.
Is the red dot on your forehead right now? Can you feel it? No comment, eh? All right.
That means it is.
All right. No.
I want to live,
no
man.
worries. Yeah, but like I said, I just one more quested too much, and my sleep schedule is already ruined, and I feel like this is just going to make it worse. And I know this is like the ultimate first world problem, but yeah, this game is absolutely going to ruin my life with just how much time I'm going to put into it. Maybe I just need another hobby so that I'm not. I just need to do more productive things, but
just to counterbalance it. But
the other day I was at work.
I think you could definitely play this game a ton, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. But it would be a good idea to find something not game related. Because I mean, I know like I was definitely taken aback a little when my brother was telling me that the subscription was like $15, and I was like, I don't know if I want to pay that right now, just because it kind of made me realize that for about a year and a half, I was buying the minimum pre-order amount for the every Hearthstone expansion, which ends up being around like $60 to $80, and they come out with a new expansion every 3 months. And keep in mind, I didn't have to do this because usually I play so much that I get enough, like I build up enough coins to get like 70 to 80 free packs, and I just buy like another 60 on top just because my brother-in-law and I, we would go to these fireside gatherings in downtown LA at a bar, and we would just drink and play with other people in person, and we get to open the packs early, and we do like these special side events. So it's really fun. It makes buying the packs worth it, but that also ends up coming out to like, it's like I'm paying $20 a month to play Hearthstone. But
those were hosted by Blizzard themselves, right? Those fireside things, like they were like sanctioned events,
like Nintendo ambassador kind of deal. Like they have people that applied, and if they hosted enough events, they get official Blizzard merch sent to them, and then when they host the events, can give them out as prizes. And
That's really good community building.
And it's awesome. I mean, everyone's super friendly, and I've managed to get like a nice collectible pin for each one. But I also kind of really just want to get to Legend class of Hearthstone so I can stop playing it, and then I would feel okay paying $15 a month, especially because, I mean, I don't feel bad paying that amount for Hearthstone because I play it so much that it easily justifies the price. I mean, God knows how many hours I've like sunk into that game, and I'm sure
you can find out.
Oh no, I know I can.
I don't think he wants to find out.
I mean, I'll let you. I'll quickly like do like a very rough estimate just based on how many games I've played, and then I'll give you a quick answer in a bit. But that's
you crunch some numbers.
Yeah, I'm gonna crunch some quick numbers while you tell us more about Final Fantasy.
I think I think I'm done with Final Fantasy. But what I was gonna say is I remember there's a website called DestinyTracker.com. I remember for the first game when that came out, like towards the end of that game's life cycle, I looked at how many hours and I put in well over 1,000 hours.
Wow.
And I almost hit 1,000 hours on Overwatch before I stopped playing that game religiously. Do you have any time sync games like that, Jason? Or
all right, this is going to be scary.
You already calculate it?
Well, I'm going to walk you guys through it just so you guys get an idea. So, on average, a typical Hearthstone game, on average, lasts around, we'll say, 7 minutes. Because you can easily get it in the last 10 to 12 on the high end, maybe 4 on the low end. So 6 feels like a generous, safe, like, lowballing it. And I've won a total of 5,908 games online. And keep in mind, and that's just games I've won. Let's see. So that would mean... Oh, I missed 5,908. And I lose way more than I win. Like, my win-to-loss ratio is probably like... And I'm going to be generous. I'm pretty sure it's like 5-1 on bad days. But somebody's going to say 3. Somebody's going to multiply that by 3 to kind of give me like how many games I've played total. Even though it's probably more than that. So we're already at 47. So we're already at 47,264 games. This is not even counting like Tavern Brawls and other modes. And I multiply that by 6 because 6 minutes each. Oh God, it's the number so big. It doesn't even. Well, all right. I'm gonna divide it by 60 to give me hours. Oh God.
Oh no.
This doesn't even make sense.
We're
37,000 hours. No, that doesn't.
Wait, no.
There's
no. I must have made. All right, 5,900 times 3. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, okay. All right, there we go. Times 6. I think I must have hit an extra 0 at some point. Oh, okay. That makes way more sense. Okay, so yeah, think about 2,000 hours.
Holy
wow. So, Kevin, to answer your question, I can't follow that up with any time sync I have that's anywhere near that. That's insane, Angel. Like, I mean, obviously,
keep in mind,
like
that probably means Smash Brothers has.
That means Smash Brothers was thinking about while he was.
Anything.
Oh God, yeah. No, I was thinking about while he was doing the calculation, and I think in terms of time sync, where I spend a lot of time on any one thing, I have noticed with puzzle games like Tetris 99, for example. Once I start, I don't really stop easily. Like, even when I only play it to do, like, the, the Maximus Cup events or whatever it's called, like, I'll hit the thing to unlock the theme, but I'll just keep going for, like, another hour or two, and I'm not really sure why at that point I'm doing it still, besides just for fun. But in terms of time sync, slow little bits and pieces that add up, like Hearthstone, Pokemon Go was that for me for so long. Like, I have no real way of tracking it.
At least that one's active. But, yeah.
It is and it isn't. I mean, once you know how to trick it and move bare minimum, I mean, yeah, it is more active
is that
for
what you
sure.
did?
But yeah, because I played it. No,
you don't seem
not
like
really,
the type of person that would play to exploit it. I feel like you would just do it legitimately.
Yeah, no, but it was one of those things that, like, I play it on my own. I play it, like, if I was in a passenger seat of a car going somewhere, I'd be like, oh, there's Pokestops on the way. Right. If I see, that's how you do it. But no, if I at work, like, we had a whole. I know I've talked about this on Random Town proper, but we had like a whole group at one point, like 20 or 30 of us that would go do raids as a collective from the office, like in the area. So I'd be like disappearing from work for like 20 minutes to go do it multiple times a day. I hope no one's listening at work. But yeah, so like it added up, I'm sure. Like I don't even know how I would go about calculating that, but I can only imagine we're talking. I would say 2,000 hours like you have, Angel, but or the 1,000 you were talking about, Kevin. But I would imagine we're in the upper hundreds for sure. But then I kind of like that tapered off. But for a while there, I'd say for like 2 to 3 years, Pokemon Go was like the one probably, but very piecemeal.
I did play a lot of Words with friends in college.
Again, yeah, kind of. Not a ton. I mean, I did and I didn't. Yeah, that's true, actually. So mobile games probably, just because.
What game? I'm sorry?
Words with Friends. Like the Scrabble that
Friends,
Zynga used to make.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's weird because like I don't like in the way you guys are describing, more so how you're describing Final Fantasy than you're describing Hearthstone, Angel. I feel like I don't have a game where I just sit for from 4 to midnight or whatever and just play. Like my attention span doesn't work like that. But I definitely, if you do little piecemeals and bits and pieces here and there, they add up pretty quick for some games for sure.
And I mean, it's only easy to reach the amount of hours I've reached with Hearthstone because, as Jason knows and most people know, I'll easily play it, when I'm actually out with people, or
like in the worst possible place you would,
or
just...
like a lot of times in the car, in hotels, in planes, or if I'm like walking somewhere and just talking to someone, I'll just have a game going, and they'll be like, "Are you playing Hearthstone?" Because and Andrew, I'm not putting on blast. It's just funny. We were at your brother-in-law's birthday, and we're singing in the karaoke room, like a group of us. It wasn't full yet. We didn't officially start yet. We get there, we sit down. Within 10 seconds, you're playing Hearthstone. Like while we were waiting for everyone. So like any moment you have when you're not actually like interrupting something, you're constantly playing it. I mean, I can stop whenever I want, so it's not.
Oh, sure you can.
Hold up. Are you playing Hearthstone right now?
Are you?
No.
Angel, come clean. Have you ever played Hearthstone while we were recording an episode of either QC or Ram Nintendo?
Yes.
Wow. I thought I knew you. See, that's addiction right there. That's what that is.
Typically for one game, and then I'm like, dang, I think I missed the last thing Jason said, and I think they're talking to me. So, yeah, if you go back on episode, you might be able to tell when. But yeah.
If you ever repeat back something I said to me as if you just thought of it, does that mean you're playing Hearthstone? Because that has happened on rare occasions.
Half the time. Other times I just honestly miss it because you do talk fast.
I thought you were going to say other times it's Brawl Stars or something.
No.
Half the time Hearthstone, half the time. I do talk fast.
Because Hearthstone, I mean, it's a turn-based card game. So, like, I mean, I kind of do my turn and then I'm just, like, listening. But Brawl Stars is, like, a real-time, like, I guess, top-down shooter. So that one, I would not be able to do anything else at the same time.
Right.
Not that I do with Hearthstone, but still, just even worse.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I feel slightly betrayed, but that's okay.
Not anymore, though. I stopped.
That's what all addicts say when they get called out. I don't do that anymore. That's the old me.
Oh, so no, I still play Hearthstone in general, just not during the podcast. I've given it the respect and time it deserves.
Okay. You've won me back as your friend.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. Well, that was a Final Fantasy XIV,
and then some,
and then some, and the time sinks in our lives.
Yeah, seriously.
Jason, we'll hear about what games you're playing next week.
Yep.
Or if you want to hear what he played already, you can hear the latest episode of Ren Nintendo.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention at the top of the show, timestamps in the blog post as usual.
Nice.
Whenever you want to skip around.
So if people are like, ooh, that's a lot of Final Fantasy, and just want to cut to RTJ later, now you know how.
Yeah.
All right. So
or Promare or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So I really have to tell you guys about Anomalisa. Oh man,
Talk to us about Anomalisa.
This movie. I didn't know anything about it going in. I just knew that it was from 2015. It was nominated for an Oscar. No, 2016. The same year that Inside Out won. Maybe it was 2015. Whatever year Inside Out won. Maybe you know what year that is, Jason.
I can certainly look it up as you continue to talk and then blurt it out randomly in mid-sentence.
And all I knew about this movie was just that it was stop motion. And it looked like a drama. Because it wasn't cartoony. It didn't have like crazy art direction. It was just trying to be kind of the same way someone would describe King of the Hill in animation. You kind of look at it and you're like, it doesn't look like this needs to be animated. And that was all I knew about it. So going in yesterday, I don't really know what I was expecting, but what I saw definitely was really far from what I don't know, from anything I could have thought of. But
2016. I told you I'd interrupt you, so I just had to follow through. Continue, please.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless, I mean, the stop motion is really, really good. I mean, I don't know what it is about stop motion or just like watching it in movement, but it always looks beautiful. Like it just looks, when done correctly, like it can be very creepy and it can also just look really cool. But I think if this movie was done with live action, it would definitely lose a lot of its impact. But something I learned about the movie after the fact is that this was a Kickstarter, and this was like something that, and you could kind of tell that it's like more on the indie side, just because most modern stop motion films nowadays use a technique with 3D printers where they'll print out a bunch of like top halves of the head, of the face, and bottom halves of the face below the nose. That way they don't have to print out a full face every time they want to have someone talk or express themselves. They could basically save plastic and just be more resourceful. That's like what most studios do now. And Leica, the people that do like Coraline, Box Trolls, Kubo, they do that same technique, but after they 3D print something, they polish it off, and then they use like the computer to essentially make their faces look seamless, so that it doesn't look like it's a puppet maquette. So you're not like, oh, this looks like a straight up like animation toy. But in this movie, when you look at the characters, and they definitely don't shy away from showing them up close, you could literally see the scan lines from the printer, or I guess like the layers. You could see the same line the whole time, and that might be distracting to some. I guess kind of in the same way that Spider-Verse, I know for a fact, was distracting to many when that movie was shot the way a traditionally animated film was shot. And a lot of people saw that and just really didn't like that. Some of them said like, oh, the animation was terrible because it looked choppy. But, that was
they're wrong. Those opinions are incorrect.
But yeah, so that's kind of like what the movie was going for. And the movie, like, is one of those that's really up for interpretation. Like, the director kind of gives you some ideas of what he was going for. We saw this after the fact, because after the movie, we're just kind of left with, what the heck? Like, wait, is that how it ends? Like, what the heck did I just watch? Like, it was, like, I mean, like, we kind of get the idea. Like, I don't want to spoil much, just because I do feel like if you really want to watch something completely out of left field, I think it's really worth checking out. But it can definitely make you feel uncomfortable. Like, I mean, but in a nutshell, it's about this man named I forgot his first name, but his last name is Stone. He's like this big deal that seems to be like a little celebrity when he goes to this hotel. But something that you'll quickly notice that you'll have to realize, no, it's not you. It's literally, there are only 3 voice actors in the whole movie. And I'm going to call him Michael Stone. I want to say what's his name. Well, Mr. Stone, right. He has like a British accent. He has a distinct face. And the titular Lisa for Anomalisa, she also has a distinct like voice and a distinct face. But literally everyone else in the movie, whether they're a kid, an adult, male or female, old or young, they all have the same voice and they all have the same face. And it's kind of jarring in the beginning because he's on the phone with his wife, but it sounds like a guy, and you're just kind of confused. And then you're hearing like voices in an airplane, and it says it's a little kid, but it sounds like an adult. And then you're talking to the mom, but the mom also sounds like the exact same person, and you're just like, what's going on? And essentially, the movie's just like trying to portray, not trying. I mean, I thought it did a good job of portraying the fact that he just can't relate to anybody, and he just can't form any connection. So everybody's just like the same person. And what kind of sets the plot going on? Well, when it sets the plot off is the fact that when he's in his hotel room and just kind of feeling lonely, he hears like a woman's voice, and that's like the first time you hear a different voice, and you're like, whoa, someone else. And of course, he like rushes off to see like who that was, and he becomes enamored with this person, I guess because it's the first person in a long time that he actually sees as an individual, whether they're like amazing or not. And from there, it goes off into its own little weird territory, and definitely don't want to say much, but yeah, just you're not going to be ready for it. That's all I'll say.
That's a really interesting approach that I feel like only something animated or not live action can easily do.
Because there's like some things like it definitely gets that point across, but then there's other things that are kind of... I mean, it definitely seems like there's some more psychological things that are going on that they don't really explain. And some things that they could only really do in animation. Like, there's a sequence where, like, he's looking at himself in the bathroom mirror, and the bottom half of his mouth, like that section that you replace to animate the mouth, they start swapping between random expressions, like, at a rapid pace. And then he grabs it, and it looks almost as if he's about to, like, peel it off. And then he immediately stops because that's when he hears the Lisa's voice. So it's almost like, whoa, like, where is this movie going with that? It's almost like kind of breaking the fourth wall, like he knows he's an animated figure. But
right.
Yeah,
that he's just going through motions, literally stop motions.
And it's pretty short. It's an hour and a half. So if you have time, and I don't know, it's a weird recommendation because I know for a fact a lot of people are not going to like it. But I think it's a thinker. It's worth... I'm glad I saw it, but I don't know if it's like... I mean, it's not going to be my top favorite. It's just like, that was a ride.
It sounds like one of those movies.
So just to keep that in mind. It's very calm. It's very like mellow. It's not like high action. There's just a lot of like, whoa, that happened.
As I said, it sounds like one of those movies. There's like few and far between. It's kind of talking for or elaborating further on what I was saying before, but it sounds like one of those movies where the medium it chose is as much a part of the story as anything else. You know what I mean? Like sometimes there's an anime movie where like, oh, it's just like it's animated, like you know, like even stop motion, like Paranorman, let's say, like oh yeah, it's stop motion, but you know this could be any format really. It could be cartoon, it could be CG, but no, they went stop motion. But it sounds like this, like it sounds like they chose stop motion, at least based on what you're saying, thematically for a reason.
Yeah, no, yeah, it definitely feels very intentional.
Yeah, yeah, which is kind of cool because like it's rare where it's like married like that. I feel.
I mean, and like I definitely like, I mean, giving credit where the credit's due. I mean, it is like a very interesting way to tell that story, and I think they did a good job. But I think like something that a lot of people may like not really think about is the fact that the sets and everything look like crazy. Like you see like an airport, you see a hotel, and then you have to realize like, wait a minute, this is all miniatures. Like everything was created, and like all the clothing, all the bed sheets, all the drapes, all the food, like everything you see was like, you know, custom made. And it definitely like just like exemplifies just how crazy and hard it is to create stop motion films. It's definitely it's awesome. Like it's definitely awesome to see. Like I mean, if you just love animation, you will enjoy it probably no matter what, just because it's just an interesting way of animating that you probably even haven't seen within stop motion. So I mean, it's worth checking out just for that.
So I've always seen the poster for this movie, and that alone, like to me, it's like, this doesn't look like a fun little movie.
A little romp.
Just watch and enjoy. Yeah, it's like the thing that I remember. It's like a foggy mirror and a guy wiping away some of the fog.
And it's super gray, the poster, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and it's super gray, and it's like, that doesn't look like a good time.
It's like, oh, that's depressing.
Which, like, it's good. It's good they did the poster that way. Because could you imagine if they did, like, a more normal stop-motion animation style poster? The kids, that would be like, I want to see that. And then they go, and everything you're describing, they're just like, what is this? So it's probably for the best that they grade out the poster like that.
Like, it's less Requiem for a Tuesday and more...
I mean,
I don't know.
And to give you an idea, it was directed by the guy that did Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Okay.
That immediately gives it a tonal.
And honestly, like if you just Google Anomalisa and just look at and just scroll through the images, you'll see like how not like crazy of a movie it looks. Like it just looks very normal. And then there's also some pictures thrown in of like the people animating it, which just kind of like jets you back into reality, where it's like, whoa, that's crazy. Oh, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff where you're like, man, someone had to animate that. But yeah, I think if you're curious what I'm talking about, you should definitely check it out. But yeah,
I have a suspicion based on what you're saying.
Oh, I don't think you do. But yeah,
okay, maybe I don't. Okay, maybe I don't. I'm actually very intrigued by it. It sounds it sounds melancholy, like super melancholy, but it sounds very interesting.
Yeah,
as something to watch.
I think the people also behind Moral Laurel were also involved, but yeah.
Okay. Yep. That makes it make a little more sense too. I heard more. What Moral Oral got really dark in this last season.
Oh, I haven't seen the last season, but I mean that show definitely gets dark. But it's like SpongeBob getting into dark territory because the main character is always like so optimistic and happy about it, even if it does something terrible. It's like a nice juxtaposition about it.
SpongeBob with an edge. Yeah, it's like edgy. It's like SpongeBob with like this weird dark underbelly to it, almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I've heard that the last season definitely is more. Is definitely less comedy, more drama. Huh. And I think the creator of Moral Oral is Starburns from Community.
It is.
He has a whole world of career outside Community. He's more of a production guy than he is a TV person usually. Yep.
Yeah, that guy. Which I've seen on I've seen that specific
bumper,
like Italian man. No. The
mascot?
I've seen it on so many. The mascot. Yeah, the logo mascot. The like chef. I've seen it on like actual like food products.
Huh.
And
maybe it's like
I mean it's just generic Italian chef man
jerky, but it's like the exact same one.
Maybe it's like a free open domain. What's the word I'm looking for?
Public domain.
Public domain
public
art
domain,
or something. Which sometimes that could be the intention of why you would do something, but.
Well, you know that Starburns Industries, I mean, that's the company Dan Harmon used to be part of as well. So, like, they founded it. Like, they know each other and
Rick and
in
Morty
the Community days. Yeah. Huh. Although, apparently, he left the production company earlier this year. I read somewhere. He's still involved with Rick and Morty, obviously. He being Dan Harmon, not
I'm guessing
Starburns.
You haven't seen the last season?
Okay.
Of Rick and Morty? No, I'm behind. But I will try and watch it if we want to talk about the next QC.
Oh.
There you go. I'll talk about it too because I haven't seen any of season 4.
Yeah, I'm behind.
And I haven't seen like the half back of season 3.
Huh.
Well, we got our homework assignment, Kevin, for next episode.
There we go. Perfect.
I mean, I keep up with it every week. It's weird. Like, I don't consider myself like a hyper fan, but I definitely do watch it every week. I mean, I really enjoy the show, but I
you mean you're not a fan that jumped on a McDonald's counter demanding your Szechuan sauce?
Normally, I'm good about like not even knowing what the fandom is up to. Or like like people always say like, oh, they have a toxic fan base, blah blah blah. But yeah, Rick and Morty, they kind of ruined that part for me. It's like it kind of makes you feel ashamed of like being a fan of Rick and Morty. But
being a fan.
What was the line that someone said on Reddit that became me? Is like you're not smart enough.
You're a Q. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that.
Oh, you have to have a
high IQ to appreciate Rick and Morty. Yeah,
no,
or something like that.
Like there's a quantum engineering joke on there that I just laughed and normies didn't like. It was terrible. that whole thing was bad.
Yeah, but the show itself is good, which is it's like it kind of got like it's not the fault of Dan Harmon or Justin Roiland that like this happened, but now they're stuck with it.
I mean, that's just kind of any piece of art. Like the way it's interpreted by other people is out of your control, and you just kind of have to take responsibility, or
not, or say this is not this I put out there and this is how it was interpreted and this is what they ran with. Yeah. Although I don't know how many different ways you could interpret Pickle Rick, but
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I know the with Pickle Rick. I know the ending of that episode gets a lot of praise, but I thought the rest of that episode. Let's not get into.
We'll save Rick and Morty for next.
Yeah, that's definitely a discussion in and of itself, but
for sure.
Yeah, right. Angel, something else you want to talk about, right?
Well.
Regarding animation,
kind of a combination of me and Jason, but because finally Jason, I mean, obviously had nothing to do with me because like screw me and my recommendations, except for Harley Quinn.
I watched Harley Quinn because of you.
Yeah, you got one, but
I got 1 out of 18.
Yeah, but regardless, I'm glad you're finally checking out all the Disney movies in order. Which is great and
so
awesome.
I should back it up slightly. I have seen most of them as a kid, sort of scattershot. But yes, I am now watching them chronologically by release, roughly.
And I know like the only reason you would watch them with us in theaters is because you see it more as like, I'm hanging out with friends. And we're...
watching the animated Disney stuff in theaters? Somewhat. I do like I like watching all the Pixar stuff. But yeah, in terms of like classic Disney, yeah, I you know, I'm weird about. Like, I loved them as a kid. Like, Lion King's one of my favorite movies. I watched Fox and Hound more times than I could count. I had them on VHS back when, you know, they put them in the big white styrofoam weird plastic things. It's like your VHS is like the size of like.
I know what you're talking
maybe
about.
not styrofoam. It was like a hard plastic,
Yeah,
I guess. But, you know, like a VHS looked like you had like a Bible basically, but you open it, it's just a tape inside. But yeah, so there were a few I always loved. But yeah, I didn't like religiously watch all of them in theaters or all of them chronologically until now. And
so
it's interesting.
So you obviously started in Snow White because that's the beginning. But
Correct.
Where did you?
I'm
end?
up to at this point Aristocats.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking from from like 37, 38 whenever Snow White came out up to like the early 70s, I think is when
You
Aristocats
still got a
came out,
long way
maybe
to
in
go.
70.
You still have like.
Oh yeah.
So you still haven't seen the Black Cauldron, right?
I mean, I saw that as a kid. Yeah.
No,
but I
no,
haven't
I'm
seen
talking
it in
about
this
because you're
new-
going in order.
in
So
this
you
new
haven't.
worldview. And I'm going in loose order. So, like, I saw, for example,
Well, I mean, as long as you watch them
saw-
by period, because there's definitely like, you know, they have like their early films. There's like a really
Yes.
weird 2D Dark Times. I think it was I forgot which main director left, but someone at Disney left, and then someone else came in, and then all of a sudden we had like Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Tarzan. Like
Yeah,
back
so
to
I'm
back
nowhere
to
near
back to
that.
back.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm nowhere near
bangers.
that. But I kind of watched them not quite in chronological. So, like, I watched Snow White and then Cinderella pretty closely thereafter, but I kind of snaked back to some of the others, like Dumbo. But I have, like, the rough flow. Like, it's almost like it was by, like, category. And it wasn't intentional. Just looking at it retroactively, I have a list right in front of me of all the dates of all of them. And, like, yeah, I kind of messed up the order. But, yeah, it
that's not
was
too important,
it's
but yeah.
interesting. It's interesting because, like, well, first of all, what I really want to talk about with you, Angel, was the animation and how it evolved. I thought it was really interesting because initially they did, like, the animals kind of, at least from 40 to 70, let's say, 1940 to 1970, kind of looked roughly the same. But it's interesting how the humans changed over those 30 years. Because, like, the original stuff, you know, Snow White and... Well, actually, I should rephrase that. The princess one. So Snow White,
Yeah.
Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. They did this thing where it almost looks like, and it's actually really cool animation. It almost looks like they basically took individual frames of like a live action performance and then just drew on top of them. Like they have like this weirdly, almost uncanny valley sort of movement to them, although they don't look like people necessarily. It looks like they like cel shaded on top of real people or something, and it took out detail. Do you know how they did that?
Yeah, so that what you're describing exactly is literally called rotoscoping. So that is what you do when you're pretty much recording reference. You know, like they have someone dancing. Like if you want to see a good example of rotoscoping in Snow White, is when she's dancing around with the dwarves and she's like clapping her hands and dancing around with Dopey. So they recorded the actress, and then it's kind of a cost-saving method also because back then, like, you know, everything was really expensive to do. It took a long time, so they did have to take some, like, cut some corners when they did. But I wouldn't necessarily call it cheating either, because it's also an excellent way to learn the body mechanics and get that going. But essentially, yeah, they do, like, essentially trace over the footage, and you get that really weird, kind of realistic movement that does kind of feel uncanny. And they definitely, over the years, stopped using that because as they became more, you know, as they mastered the art of animation more and more, they tended to exaggerate things more. I mean, if just look at, like, Snow White versus Emperor's New Groove, like, it's, like, literally
or even not even that big of a stretch. Like, even just, like, it what was interesting to me...
But
yeah, what I was going to say, what's interesting to me is going roughly chronological, you can see film to film how they kind of just, like, inched further and further towards what we now know as Disney animation, away from, I guess, the rotoscoping and the more realistic. Like, the animals, I'd say, were relatively consistent in how they look, kind of. But at least in that 30-year chunk I've watched. But it's interesting to watch, like, the people become more animated. It's interesting to watch how the backgrounds went from just simple shapes and colors to, like, kind of looking like storybook static backgrounds to evolving into, like, more what we're used to now. And you see it, like, very slowly. Like you mentioned 101 Dalmatians. Like, that whole, like, Parisian-y sort of New York Central Park-ish look.
That one had way more art direction than stuff.
Yeah, but that even then, those were all, like, completely stacked backgrounds. But they were the same sort of stacked background as, like, Cinderella, but then you go to Jungle Book and it's like, trees are rustling and stuff, and it's different. And I think that's what I found interesting, because like I said, I've seen most of these movies in one form or another, but to see it chronologically and to see the evolution, like it's almost like to use a gaming term, it's almost like following the Disney meta.
No, yeah, and
like it's not even watching like the movies, it's watching how Disney, this very conservative play it safe company, slowly inched into new directions. And that, that whole like we play it safe, we're conservative with our decisions, like that's still in their DNA today, I'd say. Like all they do is remakes of old stuff because they know it works, or they do in the 90s or early 2000s, there's all sequels of old stuff. They did Marvel, that was a gamble, and then like, well, can we repeat that exact same thing with Star Wars? So like they follow set cookie cutter patterns, and it's interesting to see those patterns on a much smaller scale in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, because they're definitely there. Mm-hmm. Like I noticed like two big ones, I guess. Like they for a long, what are you gonna say?
It is funny that you brought up like, I guess, comparing them to console generations, because I would say like definitely a lot like Nintendo, like Disney doesn't like to get rid of like an old idea. I mean, like to give you an idea, like they had been trying to do an Ice Queen movie since like the times of like when they came out with Little Mermaid, and they eventually did with Frozen. I mean, that just took them forever, but more to that point, like before they even came out with their live action movies with cartoon characters in them, like Mary Poppins, they were experimenting with something called like Alice shorts. It's like there's like a little girl in a cartoon world, and they were black and white, and I think they came out before movies in theaters. And they pretty much, they were always like experimenting with things, just kind of trying to be sometimes innovative to the sake for being innovative. And
right,
sometimes they worked, sometimes it didn't, but they just kind of kept at it.
But then they kept having, like, in tandem with that, much like Nintendo, because that's a great analogy, actually. Much like Nintendo, it feels like just watching through what they were so like, we gotta be really careful, guys. Like, so here's our two tropes of movies, and then they inch it, they just inch it. Yeah, because like for example, I noticed just watching, because there's basically two tracks. It seems like they went on. There was the human movies, and then there was like the animal based movies. And occasionally they kind of mix and match. Like Pinocchio, they had an animal in it, Jiminy Cricket, but he was dressed like a little human. He acted like a little human. He wasn't really an animal.
I didn't really like how much of a human I mean, his hands, and they make reference to his bum a lot, and it's weird.
That's my point. They humanized him because, like, in this weird whatever.
But I guess he would also look I don't know. They've had like an animated cricket in that. I forgot what it's called. It's like the cricket and the ant story that they have in their silly symphonies. But
right, but that had no human in it, right?
No, it's just no human. Yeah, so I guess they...
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is they compartmentalized. So they basically had two tracks, I noticed, where it was like either it's a human story or it's an animal story. And for a long time, they sort of inched forward with each of those, at least from what I saw. Like the human ones, okay, slowly they started having the animals be more than just like little props. Like, look, they're blue birds singing, flying around the princess or whatever. Or they kept using the term, the birds are twittering in the subtitles, which I was like, Twitter. But no, literally like 4 movies. It's like birds twittering as like a background sound cue. But yeah, and then slowly the animals start like maybe engaging with the humans a little, but not talking yet, except Jiminy Cricket, but he's basically a baby human. And then slowly they started being like, well, what if the animals actually talk? Like, what if it's like Cinderella with the mice, where, they're a little dressed like humans in outfits, but they're more animal-like, and they talk kind of not as normal humans talk. Like they, have little like speech rhythms and stuff. And then from there, I think it's probably, if I had to guess, Alice in Wonderland seems like when they finally merged the two paths. Because they had the human path, then they had the animal movie path, like Dumbo and Bambi and all that. And even those, I noticed they were still hesitant about animals talking, because in Dumbo doesn't talk. There's not really a talking animal until Bambi. Like a talking protagonist animal until Bambi. And then they're like, okay, maybe they can talk now. And they just kept slowly like inching. Then they merged them kind of with Alice in Wonderland, which, interestingly, I learned Walt Disney did not really like Alice in Wonderland and didn't think it would work. But then once they took that gamble, that's kind of like the Nintendo style. You just, try something crazy, get innovative. Once that worked, suddenly then all the talking animals were with all the humans, and everything sort of crisscrossed, and then there's like this whole new chapter at that point. So I just thought that was really interesting, like watching it. I watched these over a span of like the quarantine so far, so since April. And just watching it and seeing that evolution in such a short frame of time, opposed to 30 years, it's interesting to see exactly the patterns develop. Or like things like the early movies, they always started with like a storybook. Like literally they opened with a storybook. And they would have like a choir singing, and they would always be like kind of grabbing ideas from other sources. So like even within, I learned this just the other day actually, even within I think it's Sleeping Beauty. Well, you told me this, Angel, actually. Was it in Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, the song that actually isn't Disney's song?
Sleeping Beauty.
Right. Yeah, it was a ballet, right, from the 1800s that they put lyrics on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's from
so, like,
yeah,
even
from
that,
ballet.
like...
Yeah. Which is crazy because,
yeah,
like,
even that,
all
it
the
felt
time,
like Disney's very cautious. Like, we need to take music that we know works.
Yeah,
And
no,
we
now
can
I'm
put
wondering,
lyrics
like,
on,
is
but we
Wish
need to
Upon
follow
a Star really a Disney thing, or was
Yeah,
that, like,
right?
something else? Especially
But
because,
yeah,
like,
so it's just like... Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, especially because, like, when you're at Disneyland, I mean, in particular, like, Once Upon a Dream, like, that tune is just so iconic and so, like, that and I guess Wish Upon a Star just, like, so feels so Disney that I guess learning that they didn't come up with that almost kind of felt like a slight betrayal.
Betrayal.
Yeah, and I know that's one of the things I don't know if I caught betrayal.
And obviously,
that's one of
like,
the things
I
noticed.
know that every fairy tale story is, like, public domain, that they obviously didn't come up with, like, Little Mermaid and blah, blah, blah. They're all, like, Grimm's fairy tales that had way darker endings.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, they definitely made them their own. Like, they changed it up, and, I mean, they're pretty different stories. I mean, they just took the source material and reinvented it. This song, though, yeah, I was a little like, huh, I thought you made that, Disney.
And that's the kind of thing I noticed, and I wouldn't say I was, like, betrayed by him, but I was definitely sort of like, oh, this is very formulaic, because so many movies had that exact same, okay, we're starring a fairy tale, here comes the book opening, all right, here comes a choir singing some, there's kind of words, but good luck trying to figure them out because you're singing them so slowly. Okay, we've done that. Next, we're going to the story. Okay, we're done with the story. Great, let's close the book, bring back the choir, bring it back in, and they do that like 6 movies in a row. And it's fine. It worked for them, but it's interesting to see them and then slowly like back off. Like even Mary Poppins.
It sounds like you wanted to flip the table by the end. It's like,
no,
book.
No. But even Mary Poppins, they start with the book. They don't have the choir, or maybe they do have the choir. But Mary Poppins, they like brought back the book as I guess an homage to when they used to do it more. But it's just kind of like interesting to see that Disney was not being shy about this is what we know works, and we're gonna keep doing it.
Why do you think Shrek opened up the way it did with the storybook and Shrek ripping the page out of it to wipe his butt?
Yeah, and not only that, but even the other thing I noticed watching them so closely together is, to your point about them doing cost-saving measures, man, it felt like a Judd Apatow deal where, you know how Judd Apatow always uses the same people in his movies, basically? Like, he has like a group, and that group of comedians is like in the same stuff. They're all friends with one another. They do each other's projects. Like, so many of these movies had the same directors, the same voice cast. They picked up and like copy pasted like dogs from one movie into another movie and
like,
changed their color.
If you go on YouTube,
they did dance sequences copied over. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you like YouTube like Disney, I guess, cheating, even though, you know, you do what you got to do, but I mean, like,
you do what you got to do. There's nothing wrong with it.
Like the dance from Snow White, they do it again in Aristocrats with the white cat, or the King Louis from Jungle Book. They recycle his dancing with a chicken in Robin Hood, but yeah, or
like and it's interesting because sometimes even the dogs had the same voice actor, so it's like literally like a cameo except they changed the color of the dog. Which again, I mean, like, that's I guess not a fault of Disney.
With the Ham actor, I mean, he kind of did appear in like every movie.
Yeah, that's true. And even to this day, they still have voice actors they always lean on. Like Alan Tudyk, for example, is in everything that Disney does, including now Star Wars. And he's great. He's very versatile. Josh Gad, I feel like
versatile. I mean, the fact that he's like King Candy also, like he could pull off that kind of voice, like Mad Hatter, weird, high-pitched lisp or something. And then
and like Kevin just was saying, he's also an on-screen actor, too, that like the pirate in Dodgeball.
He was
so he's very versatile. He was the pirate in Dodgeball. He also is in Firefly, if you've ever watched Firefly.
Is that the one with Nathan Fillion?
Nathan Fillion, yep.
I only know that because of breakout role. Yeah, I only know that because of
Comic-Con.
That one show. No. The show on Netflix about puberty.
Oh, Big Mouth.
Yeah, Big Mouth. Because there's like a dog, I guess, at the Nathan Fillion, and they keep referencing Firefly in that show.
Yeah, Firefly feels like one of those sci-fi shows that was like the OG of the modern like fan base thing. Like not Trekkies, not that sort of thing, but the idea of like you have a show that lasted 2 or 3 years and have this super dedicated fan base that will through thick and thin
because they got
want the show come back and support it. It got canceled on Fox 3 seasons in. It was like a Western in space.
Seasons? I thought it was like 2.
Maybe it was 2. Maybe I'm misremembering.
This the one that also has Summer Glau?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so it was.
So that means Nigel saw Firefly. Interesting.
Yeah, he's a fan of Firefly. Yeah.
1 season. Oh,
wow! I thought it lasted longer. But either way, that was like the start of the current. is the start of the current fan frenzy around a canceled thing where they try and bring it back, and then they do different one-off specials. And they had a movie too, Serenity, I believe, was tied in with Firefly.
Not to be confused with Serenity, starring Matthew McConaughey.
Yes,
and then Hathaway.
Not that one. The sci-fi Serenity.
All right.
But all right.
Well, they're both sci-fi. Spoilers.
Oh, they are. Whoa! What a twist!
Don't you remember what I told you about?
Oh, that's right.
All right,
yeah, I forgot about that. But anyway, back to Disney before we spoil a million movies. It was just really interesting to me that, and again, it's not a knock that they cut corners. It's not a knock they have like a Judd Apatow style crew they always fall back on, even to this day. I think what it just was seeing, we know Disney today is this big monolithic corporation that's very safe. They'll do some crazy stuff every so often, but for the most part, they know what they do and they know how to do it.
Yeah, that's...
And every so often it fails them, and they had the mid 2000s dip in a lot of people's mind, but then they get around it, and it's just interesting to see that isn't something that happened when Disney blew up. That was Disney in the 30s, that was Disney in the 40s, that was Disney in the 50s. It's really interesting to see when you watch the movies together just how true to old Disney, current Disney actually is, contrary to the narrative about Disney today.
Although I will say that right now it definitely feels like Disney is way too safe. I mean, obviously, I can't deny the fact that they're making tons and tons of money with their live action remakes of old CG movies. I mean, of old animated films, but yeah, it definitely feels like kind of like a slap in the animators' faces to kind of remake Lion King the way they did. And on top of that,
it's not
not even the fact that they just redid it almost shot for shot, and you end up losing a lot of the personality that innately came with having those caricatured animals. But then they go on to call it the live action Lion King, almost discrediting the fact that it was fully animated, which is, people still retard on that movie. Come on, man.
And
you're an animation studio. It's gloat about the fact that it's animated, but they're our live action Lion King. And then, it's
you know why they did that, right?
No,
it was specifically to separate it from the old one. But it's not great. And the thing with that is I never actually saw New Lion King.
Definitely a weird territory.
Yeah, and I do like the cast they got for it. I'm a huge Donald Glover, Childish Gambino fan, so the fact that he was Simba was awesome. I mean, that's a big talent to grab.
And then they had
Billy Eichner.
Huh.
What?
I wish I had known.
Wait, what?
I didn't know you like Childish Gambino.
Wait, you didn't know that Childish Gambino
is Donald Glover?
No, I did know.
Oh, I was gonna say I love that this is happening on a recording. How
could I not know? I hang out with you.
I don't know, especially because you're friends with me and I talk about him all the time. But and Kevin, who also is a fan. Only second to actually I don't know who he's second to. I guess
Conan.
Linkin Park. Conan, yeah. But anyway, they had a great cast. Even getting Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner, I thought were good choices. But yeah, I watched Hakuna Matata animated and live action, quote unquote, side by side. Back when the movie first came out, someone put it on YouTube or something, and oh god, it sucks all the personality out. Mm-hmm. And that was the other thing that was
funny how the animated ones feel like they have more life in them than the than the live action.
And that's the other
quote unquote live action ones.
That's the other interesting thing about watching the Disney movies chronologically is sure, you can watch Snow White and you can then watch Little Mermaid, and there is a noticeable difference in art style, in the fluidity, in kind of just the energy. But watching it slowly be refined as they go and seeing things slowly kind of come a little more to life. Seeing, even something small like how Dumbo was animated versus how Jungle Book was animated. It's actually really interesting just to see how they kind of loosened up essentially. You didn't have the dancing of the characters in Jungle Book anything resembling that in terms of the shoulder moving and that sort of thing that you in Dumbo. There's nothing close. It's just interesting how, and they, just how that evolution happened and to see it mapped out. So
I can't wait for you to get to the later half, or I guess the middle, since it sounds like you're still in the first third.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of movies. And I to be fair, I haven't seen all of them. But, yeah, and I haven't seen all of them. I skipped, let's see, I have a list here. I didn't see Song of the South. I know it has all sorts of racism stuff too, but I didn't see that one.
I mean, that one's also
I skipped
not
Reluctant
even
Dragon.
Anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I skipped it. I didn't see Reluctant Dragon. I didn't see Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. No, it's called Reluctant Dragon in the list I'm looking at.
Oh, it must be a different
The Reluctant Dragon, 1941. Yeah. So you don't even know about it. That's how it's not that crazy that I didn't see it. But yeah, there's some I skip. I'm trying to hit the high notes and the ones that are actually still talked about to this day for the most part. of course, along the way, to be fair, they did stuff like Fantasia, which is really different from everything else. But that felt like the whole thing was rotoscoped in a way. But, I mean, obviously, they didn't rotoscope a dancing broom, but you know what I mean. Like, it had a lot more, like the whales and stuff had a lot more realism to them. But, yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. It's I recommend it for anyone who, A, was planning to go to Disneyland, then they canceled, they shut down Disneyland, so now you needed something Disney to do,
Also,
which
it
is how I ended
will
up
make
in
you
this.
appreciate
And B,
a
is
lot.
it
Opening soon, aren't they?
What?
What?
They're opening soon.
On the
aren't they?
17th, the 65th anniversary of the park's opening, they plan to reopen Disneyland here in California with
this month or
of
July?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
It
still
feels
It's
too
way
soon.
too soon, I think.
But
They're doing like smaller capacity. You have to make a reservation. They're not selling new tickets. It's only annual passes and people who bought tickets before they shut down. But yeah, they're not going to have parades. They're not going to have fireworks. They're not going to. I don't know how the rides are going to work when they're enclosed. You have to wear a mask all times. It's going to be a mess. I would strongly recommend not going because our cases are still climbing. But they're doing it.
yeah, but I mean, if you're patient and you wait out till October or whenever that end up may being, yeah, I would also recommend just watching all these films because it definitely does make you appreciate a lot of the little details they have at Disneyland because there is a ton. I mean, on top of just the music they play, like some of the statues they have like little references that if you happen to watch like Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty or Snow White or any of those, you'll be like, oh, it's that little like moment from the movie or stuff like that.
Absolutely. That's partly what drove the decision. Originally, I was going to be going into Disneyland, and then when they canceled, it's like, well, let's just keep powering through the movies. So here we are, 30 years of Disney
Powering
later,
through. It's like, all right, I can only
with
take so
50
many.
more to go. Well, it was at one point every 2 days, every 3 days, something like that. I was doing it. It's tapered off a little because other media has come into play, but for a bit there, it's very, very consistent. But yeah, I recommend it. If nothing else, it's a good like tour to animation history.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's basically what I want to say about Disney. It's actually very, very interesting, I think, as I'm going through it.
Yeah. Again.
So what movie did you say that you ended up on? You're on
I'm
Aristocrats?
currently. I need to start watching Aristocats. Yes, that's the next one on the list.
The Aristocats.
Yeah.
So you still haven't seen the Black Cauldron?
I saw it when I was a kid, separately from all this.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you don't have to see it again. The Black Cauldron's garbage.
I feel like you were only asking specifically to say that.
Yes,
100%.
Have you seen the Black Cauldron?
When I was a kid,
recently?
no, not recently. Is it bad?
I've never seen it, but I know the villain looks pretty cool.
Movie's trash.
Is it that bad?
I mean, he
I
looks
don't
like a
remember
lich or
disliking it.
It's so boring.
That movie,
God.
that was a movie that was kind of plagued by like production hell. It kept getting postponed, changed writers, and like that kind of deal. So it was, and essentially they were just like, just get it out, just like put it out.
It's funny because the one that came out right before it, Fox and the Hound, is one of my all-time favorite Disney movies as a
I
kid.
still wouldn't
That movie.
defend it though. Like it's like, oh, it was played by production troubles. Yeah, so was Fantastic
Oh
Four.
no, yeah. I mean saying like that's why it sucks. Like,
So is New
I'm not
Mutants,
denying
and
that
that's
it
not even
sucks, but it's not like it had its best. It wasn't their best leg up. I'm sure they could have
Right.
probably turned around a
Right.
Black Cauldron story had they actually tried, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, I mean the fact that it sucks, yeah. I mean that's a stain on their record, but I don't know. Though that does make me want to watch it just because it does have that infamy.
All right, Angel, that's your homework assignment for the next QC.
Perfect. You're watching the Black Cauldron,
And we're watching Rick and Morty, and we'll all swap notes.
Wow, I think I got the short end of that
works.
deal. But, yeah,
I think you did. I think you did.
You absolutely.
But you defended it. You brought it on yourself.
I'm sorry.
that's true. I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have no smooth way of transitioning to this, especially going from Disney to what will probably be most likely our most, I don't know, heavy subject that we probably will ever talk on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I just
so
got whiplash.
let's talk about, everybody's going to get whiplash, anybody listening to this. Jason, let's talk about RTJ4.
Yeah, Run the Jewels.
Run the Jewels, yeah. So Run the Jewels, hip-hop duo composed of LP and Killer Mike. This is their fourth album. Technically, it's their fifth because they have that weird Meow the Jewels album.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. All the cat sounds.
Yeah, all the cat
Was it
sounds
RTJ 2 that they basically...
It was RTJ 2.
Right, and they
yeah,
did
it
it
was
with
Run the
cat
Jewels 2.
meows. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did it with cat meows. Angel, you might actually have fun listening to that.
They have cat meows.
But, yeah, well,
Yeah, so they literally swapped out the songs with cat meows.
Huh.
and they put it out as like a full album.
Not great, but
I guess, yeah.
But
Send me a
I
link
think it was
later.
like a Kickstarter business. Yeah,
I like how that's what like gets his attention. Like, we could talk about this heavy duo of serious hip hop. He's like, but if they're meowing, I need that link.
Hey man, the Hybrid Theory version. I mean, the cat version of Hybrid Theory is pretty kicking.
Pretty kicking. Yeah, pretty kicking.
All right. All right, so safe to say, me and Jason are fans. We actually saw them perform at the first Adult Swim festival here in Los Angeles.
Look at that Rick and Morty tie-in we just did.
Right. Safe to say they put on a show.
Oh yeah, they're great, and they brought out Zach De La Rocha, which was really kind of a cool surprise.
Yeah, they brought
of Rage Against.
Is it Rocha or Rocha?
I don't know actually. It might be Rocha.
I think it's. Rocha.
I think you're right. I think it's Rocha, but of Rage Against the Machine for those who don't know.
Yeah, and like
he's on like.
Yeah, they put on a hell of a show. Like that part on "Talk to Me," I think it was the second track off of RTJ3. After Killer Mike does his like initial verse, there's like this radio broadcast, and then you hear a robotic voice go RTJ3,
right?
And then during the crowd, like the entire crowd does that part, and like I got chills.
Oh yeah, it's always cool. Like it's so cool and somewhat rare when a whole crowd knows exactly the part to shout back that's not the actual lyric of a song. It happens a few times in various concerts, but like it's such a cool feeling where everyone's like, not only likes this stuff, but it's on the same page about, oh, this is the part we say. Like without any prompting. Yeah. Well, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're talking, that was RTJ3, we're talking RTJ4. First of all, what'd you think about the album, Jason?
I like it a lot. I think production wise, it feels, I don't know if tighter is the right word, but something about it just feels more cohesive than RTJ3. And to be honest, I loved RTJ3. Like I got more into them as their albums kept coming out. So like I rate RTJ3 really high. RTJ2 is cool. RTJ1 I probably listen to the least of the bunch, maybe just because it's the oldest. I'm weird in that regard that like I'll listen to newer stuff and not go back and listen to older stuff as much. But no, 4 just it felt very like tight. It felt very they definitely had like a cohesive theme and plan of where that album was going to go, and they went there, like, and each song like stands out. One thing I did notice that was kind of interesting, so RTJ often is like a Pokemon where they like to really say their name a lot on every album, like all the time. Like they will sample people chanting their name. They'll do the RTJ3 thing you mentioned. They'll one of their biggest songs from RTJ2 with Zach from Rage was the chorus is literally him saying "Run the jewels fast, run the jewels fast," and like they love referencing themselves.
Fast.
Yeah, and it's like it's a fast song, so they say fast. Anyway, point is,
like these guys have a song that's called "Run the Jewels."
Yeah. So they love.
I thought they literally would
from
say
the album "Run the Jewels."
Quote, "Run the jewels fast." Quote.
Yeah, run the. It is fast.
Yeah,
run the jewels fast. Run the jewels fast. Yeah, because it's
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, point is, they love saying their name. And one thing I thought was interesting in this album, it's just kind of an aside, it's not a broader point, but one thing I thought was interesting is they only say it twice. And they only say 4 once, which I think is a record for least self-references.
Yeah, at the beginning of the
where Killer Mike just shouts 4. Yeah,
4.
But what do you think of it as like a cohesive package?
Yeah, so I'm loving the album.
Me too. Yeah.
The more that I listen to, I find new layers that I haven't found. But I want to talk about the production of the album first. Like LP is the producer of every single Run the Jewels album, and I think the production on this one is incredibly insane.
You could tell
there's so many good beats on this, and overall it sounds more old school hip hop than like their like RTJ 1 through 3. Those are more, I guess, heavier. Sometimes they get into like industrial hip hop too. But this one has a more classic old school like bebop and hip hop, especially the front half of the album.
Yeah.
Like Goonies versus E.T. is probably has my favorite beat in the entire album, but I forget which. Holy Kalama F.
Yeah. That beat switch up with the dance hall sample. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I love that one.
It's so like starting the album off with Yankee and the Brave episode 4. Do you know why it's called Yankee and the Brave?
Yeah, so I don't really know. Oh, I thought you were asking if I knew. Yeah, it's the two of them. Because Killer Mike is Atlanta, Braves. LP is New York, Yankees.
It blew my mind when I found that out, but it also made me feel stupid because it's like obvious.
Yeah, well, only if you know where they're from, really.
I mean, Killer Mike. I've always known that LP is from New York, but I mean, the amount of times that Killer Mike says that he's from Atlanta in this album.
It's a lot. It's also kind of interesting. I don't know why they did this exactly, but so the album, they open with Yankee and the Brave, where they start with like an old Western, like kind of 70s TV show, like cop show, sort of like, it's Yankee and the Brave, and they're da-da-da. And then they end it with like what would be a remix of the theme song if it was a real show. And by the way, that part is some of the catchiest thing on the album, honestly. That little remix at the end, I love it. But and it's weird because it's after a very serious song. And it just transitions right in. We'll
probably get into that.
And that's the thing I was about to say is I find it very interesting. So they frame this whole thing like it's within a TV show, right? Which is the first time they've ever...
Like it's called Yankee and the Brave Episode 4.
Exactly. And this is the first time they've ever really framed an album as if it's not just a reflection of life. But then the album itself is probably the most topically timely and thematically relevant to real life and real situations with the protests and all that as any has been. So it's kind of funny that this is the one they decided to frame as if it's a fictional world, but ends up being the most reflective of what was going on with the police and, you know, stuff like George Floyd and then the response to it. And it's very strange.
It's weirdly unfortunate.
Yeah.
That it was released 2 days before they wanted to release it. Because it's not like they want to release it I'm sure they want to release it whenever they wanted to, but they had a set date in mind. But because of everything going on in the country, they decided to release it 2 days earlier. By the way, Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. I just had to throw that in here, especially like considering the subject matter of the album.
Likewise,
because this is a very socially conscious album.
Absolutely.
And Run the Jewels have always been a very political charged group.
And for those,
go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you guys for some reason are listening to this podcast and decide to skip the last episode of Random Nintendo, Jason had a very beautifully put out statement.
Oh, thanks, Kevin.
Regarding where we stand on the whole situation regarding George Floyd.
And we do provide links to, or we did list a URL where you could go if you want to help in any way. It was Black Lives Matters with an S.card. That's CARRD.co. So if you are interested, you know, if what Run the Jewels says on their album, if what we're saying now resonates with you, there is a place to go and help. But anyway, I feel like we have to put that out there because we are talking about an album that's directly related to everything going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Killer Mike, he's like a huge activist, and he made that very powerful speech after the death of George Floyd, where I think the album. So like the album does have like its catchy tracks, you know, Yankee and the Brave. They talk about what, you know, Run the Jewels always talks about, systemic racism. Poor versus rich, that kind of stuff, and like Ooh La La is like the one fun song on this album.
Although even then, it's still kind of about that stuff a little, like the classism stuff sort of sneaks in there a little.
Yeah, absolutely. And like every RTJ album, I think has to have that one like funnish song. Yeah. You know, RTJ3 had Legend Has It, but then I feel like the turning point of the album comes from the halfway point with Walking in the Snow.
Oh, yeah. It's insane how... So they wrote that song in August of last year, I guess. But it's insane. So the lyrics match up to the George Floyd situation almost perfectly. Like, it's really...
There's that specific lyric that made everybody ask, like, hey, was this line just recorded? Or was it re-recorded after George Floyd? And LP's response on Twitter was like the very sad reality of like, nope, this was recorded last year, and
that's what is crazy.
It just makes you think of like history. It's just absolutely repeated itself in this.
The fact that it's so cyclical is really kind of the fact that they recorded it last year and it matched up. I mean, it wasn't just that one line. I would say Killer Mike's whole verse there where he's talking about like how people watch it on news and then are apathetic and just tweet about it and then go about their day. Like it's not like it all. The one breaking of that cycle is the fact that there were so many protests and so many people are actually taking action. There is stuff brewing now on a government level that's sort of starting to slowly maybe kind of change things. But it was really weird how timely that thing felt. Like it's kind of a weird like look in the mirror at our society moment more than anything else.
Right. And then the track right after that, Pharrell Williams and Zach De La Rocha has that really good line of look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar.
It's not even just a line; it's the chorus.
It's
a super catchy song too. Because I think Pharrell must have helped with the production on that because it has that Pharrell kind of repeating beat hook, like the get it he does every chorus. Like it's very much a Pharrellism. Which actually, that's another thing. Before we can get into like the subject matter, the people they paired up on this thing. I mean, Zach and Pharrell on the same song. Who would have guessed that? Or like Mavis Staples, who's like a soul singer.
Mavis Staples and Josh Homme.
Yeah, of Queens, the Stone Age, which is a rock band. I mean, he's only playing guitar in it, but still, like, there's some very.
He's got some vocal.
Did he? I didn't know.
Just like
like backing.
It's more like harmonies.
Right,
yeah,
right.
like harmonized.
But like that sort of stuff is like that's something Run the Jewels does. That's really cool. Is they always make these collaborations you would never expect. Like getting Zach in any level from any album of theirs was kind of like, oh, I mean, yeah, Rage has like a hip hop to it, but they're very much like a big rock outfit or like alt rock, I guess you could say. So,
but they're also a very politically.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So it makes sense on that level. Yeah. My favorite thing on the internet is people not realizing Rage is a political group. And freaking out when Tom Morello.
You saw that article too?
What?
You saw that article?
Oh
too?
yeah.
On the AV Club of the guy. Oh man.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's the like chef's kiss moment.
Oh, for sure.
Come on.
Because yeah, they're Angel. Just to tell you what's going on. So Rage, obviously big political group. Tom Morello, their guitarist, who has obviously gone on to do a lot of other things, put a statement out that was, a political statement, and then someone's like some person who has an opposite political view was like, I don't understand why you have to become political, just stick to music. And he's like, do you realize, well, one, I actually have like a degree in like political science or something, and that's where like in college, and two, have you ever listened to our albums? Like, we are political, we always have been political.
Their name is literally Rage Against the Machine,
which led to a great tweet where someone's like, what do you think the machine was? A dishwasher, like a laundry machine, an ATM? But yeah.
So yeah, the last few tracks are definitely where the album shifts tides. Before I get into mine, do you have a favorite track off the album?
I really like. I'm just gonna call it Holy Kalima just for censoring purposes. I really like that beat switch. I think. I don't know. I like that. I like Goonies vs. E.T. That beat because for me it's not so much like Walking in Snow is really powerful lyrically, but for me what resonates most, regardless of band, regardless of music, is I think I've said this on one of the other QCs is like how it sounds. So those two jumped out, and then just has like the Pharrell song just has like quite a beat. Like it's catchy. It has a beat. It's still saying something important, but it's just like I don't know, that one. I think Just might be my favorite actually. What about you?
I think it's most likely. I don't know if I'd call it my favorite RTJ track, but absolutely my favorite track is probably. A few words for the Firing Squad. The album closer.
The build up on it is so good.
Yeah, because it's one of, if not, it is the most personal song that RTJ's recorded. Like, and it starts out very somber with like LP talking about like his newly. Oh, that's when he announced at Adult Swim Fest. That's when he announced that he had just recently got married. No.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think that's when he finally announced that. So he talks about how he loves his wife and stuff like that, and then you have Killer Mike going through the stuff with his mother as she passed away, and then they go verse after verse, and then it's like they go verse after verse about everything going on in their lives, but it also like accurately reflects the outside world to like a bunch of other people as well, and like the build up and the crescendo into that like saxophone solo,
like that blaring saxophone solo.
Yeah,
so like, that's an angry saxophone.
yeah. It's so insane, but
it's really good.
And somebody and another like reviewer brought this up. Does it feel like they could possibly just not do another Run the Jewels album? Like,
now that you mention
because that last song. A few words for the Firing Squad has like such a finality to it. Yeah. That the other albums haven't.
I think in a way that song did sound like it was kind of like, yep, that's what we had to say. We're out. But then like the only reason I'm thinking maybe they'll still do a 5 is because they then did that silly but great like old TV show style closer. So they did this huge build up. The theme song and outro remix thing, which again, super catchy. But yeah, they did that whole build up, right? And it seemed like they're like, this is what Run the Jewels is. This is what Run the Jewels was. This is what it will always represent. We're done. Like it had that feeling. You're right. But then immediately it followed up with like Yankee and the brave. I'm like, okay, well that kind of undercut the tone a second ago. So I think that might have been, or not undercut it, but like it ended the album on a different note. And I don't know if that note is the finale, is like the final, like the finality of Run the Jewels that a minute prior could have suggested it was. Like, it's kind of like, that's the end of this chapter, that's the end of this episode of Yankee and the Brave. So I think there's probably room for them to go to 5, but they stopped there. I would get why, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that absolutely makes a ton of sense as well.
Why did you think it might be like kind of the curtain call for them of sorts?
A little bit, yeah. Just because, like I said, it does have this sort of finality to it. The fact that half of the song is just like a saxophone solo.
Yeah, and not only that, but like these guys, when they did Run the Jewels, it's supposed to be a one-off collaborative album. Like, it's supposed to be like a Watch the Throne, like Kanye, Jay-Z story. Like, we're gonna do something together, and then they're like, let's do it again, and let's do it again, and let's do it again. But they never were like, we are now forever Run the Jewels. They still have their solo careers that they could go back to at any time. It was not like this was always a temporary thing. So it's interesting that it's been a decade of it now. But I don't think if they were to stop at any time, I don't think anyone would be like, that's it. Like, they already did quadruple what they promised. So
like personally, I think they're batting 1,000.
Oh yeah,
they're 4 for 4.
Yeah, they are.
Assuming you don't count Meow the Jewels.
I would say they're 5 for 5.
But yeah, like we said, it's a little. It was released early because of a very unfortunate situation, and I feel like that's probably the best way to describe everything about like the album. Like, it unfortunately came out at the right time.
Yeah, which is the second time this has happened, because if I'm not mistaken, when 3 came out and they talked about some similar issues, that was sort of around Eric Garner, kind of.
Eric Garner's. Yeah.
So they have the worst timing, but also in terms of getting their platform at the exact right moment, the best. I hate saying the best in this context, but you know what I mean. Timing for something like this. But it definitely is like, it kind of feels like to put a pin on it, or like to put like kind of what sums up my view of it. It feels very much like the protest music of this era, in the same way that, you know, every civil unrest moment has some sort of music that connects with it, or has some sort of like the anti-establishment anthems. This whole album was just the one in like a 35 to 40 minute nutshell. Yeah. So I mean, would you know where to rank this in terms of the album? Ooh. Right now, it might be too early to say, but right now I've been basically listening to it on loop for the last couple of weeks. Like, I do this thing where I don't know if you're the same way, Kevin, but or even you, Angel, with the stuff you listen to, where if I get a new album or I get a new thing, I'll just play it basically ad nauseum for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then once it starts tapering off, I kind of go, well, let's see. I'm starting to start to listen to other stuff again. Where does that mean I rank this album? Because if I listen to, let's say, Run the Jewels 3 for a month straight, and I only listen to this for 2 weeks straight, what does that mean? And it doesn't necessarily mean it's better or worse, because like there'll just be a sense of exhaustion just from hearing the same thing over and over. But right now, I have not stopped looping it, so I take that as a very good sign. Where I would rank it overall, I'm harder to say, but I think as of this moment, I put it above 3, and 3 used to. I guess I put it on top of my list for now, because 3 I actually really, really liked when it came out. I know a lot of fans consider it weaker, but I really liked it at the time. Like 2 and 3 are probably about neck and neck, but right now 4 is above them. And 1, just because I listened to it the least, is down at the bottom, just because I'm not as familiar with it.
I think before this album came out, I think the general consensus was like 2, 1, 3 in terms of and not saying that 3 is a bad album, like. Even their weakest album is still like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, but it's just, you know, 2 definitely had like kind of the more focus that 4 has. 1, God, I need to listen to 1 more. Is really my takeaway from this conversation.
Yeah, same.
But yeah,
and I don't know if iTunes has it, but the first album they released the instrumentals.
Oh, cool.
Which I think is like really dope. I don't know why they haven't done it for the other albums.
Did they release just the meowing with nothing else from 2? Like just isolated meows?
No, they did not.
Okay.
No.
That's disappointing.
And it might be due to recency bias, but I think RTJ4 is probably my favorite album, followed by 2, and then 1 and 3 are neck and neck for me. But that's where I.
4. The takeaway is 4 is very good, like very good.
4 is very good, especially during these times. Well, for unfortunate reasons.
Yeah, but it's great that like. You know, we have people saying these things in like mainstream music, because RTJ's like really blown up. Like I wouldn't say they're like, you know, top of the chart mainstream, but they are well known. Like they're not going to pop up on Power 106 or something necessarily, but they are extremely big now. So to be able for them to have this platform at this size now, kind of a like silver lining, blessing in disguise sort of situation.
And I'm super excited that they were the very first ones to be shown in that cyberpunk music.
Yeah, and Adult Swim's been a huge backer of them for years too. So, like they are very intertwined with our various like little subcultures we're part of, for lack of a better way of putting it, like the gaming world and the adult animation, shall we say, world.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was RTJ4 for you guys. And now for some more tonal whiplash. Angel, you have Your Light in April.
Yep.
Can I really quick before he says that say, you know what this feels like? You know how like in a movie you like build up to a climax and the climax something crazy happens and you come back down to something more like comfortable and you ended on the comfortable note? I feel like that's what we just did this episode. Like we did like comfortable things. That's like, oh, crazy thing, now back to comfort because we want you to be happy at the end of the day.
We gotta end it on a higher
Exactly.
note.
So sorry, Andrew, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, coming back from that, this is not as intense, but that's not to say that this also isn't a very heavy anime. I don't know. I know I talked about this in the last episode, how I guess I'm kind of going through like a drama phase.
Slice of life.
Yeah, because I talked about Silver Spoon and how that's like a very simple anime about just someone going to an agricultural high school and like nothing too crazy happens, but it does kind of get real at some points with like bringing in financial troubles and stuff that you don't really see a lot in anime. But I feel like right now, I think I just really wanted to watch these kinds of shows just because I did go through a very heavy action period right before this. Like I was really into Demon Souls, My Hero Academia's going on, and I was even watching Fire Force, which for its really amazing choreographed action scenes that were like, man, that was awesome. But I don't know, everything else around that was also like kind of like aggressively average. So it's kind of hard to recommend it. But overall though, like, I mean, those like, they're all ongoing shows and I love Demon Souls. I mean, but this one, Your Lie in April.
Demon Slayer.
What's up?
Demon Slayer.
Oh, Demon Souls. Yes, because, Demon Slayer.
That Demon Souls remasters though.
Yeah.
Boy, am I excited.
But yeah,
It's
Demon
happening.
Slayer. I do love Demon Slayer though. Like that one, I really do love it. But yeah, this one, Your Lie in April, is probably I can't call it my favorite anime right now, like my favorite all-time favorite anime. But it was like after watching it and just kind of reflecting on it, it definitely easily takes the spot of like my favorite anime drama. I'll just call it that because I mean, as much as I love Yakiteki Japan, like that's just like a straight up comedy. Like I go to it anytime I just want to laugh, and I'll go to like Mob Psycho 100 anytime I want to see like crazy action.
Oh, I love Mob.
Like that show is just like amazing for what it does, like in its art direction. But this one, like you come to this one if you just want to come for, I don't know, I guess for the feels, for lack of a better term. But yeah, so this one it's a coming of age story about getting past trauma and loss, as you would. It stars the premise that it sets up. It's definitely at least with the main character, is probably the most like fictional part of it, just because there's like a weird time period where alright, let me just get into it. So the main character, he is a piano prodigy. Like since he was like 5 years old, he's been able to play the piano like a professional because his mom is like a very strict pianist, and he pretty much becomes like world famous. And I guess from ages like 6 to 11, he was pretty much just taking the world by storm, just by going to performances and destroying the competition. And he was like the envy of a ton, and he also inspired like so many people to take on the piano. And this is like still just in the first episode that's establishing. And unfortunately, his mom passes away from a sickness. It's kind of implied it's like a type of cancer or something. But she was also kind of horrifically abusive towards him. Like if he made any kind of mistake while playing the piano when they were practicing, she would literally beat him, like almost to the point of like passing out or like bleeding out. And
Jeez.
Yeah, it's kind of intense. And you could tell that left a scar on him because after the passing, anytime he's playing the piano, like at a professional level or like for a concert or for a tournament, at some point as he's playing, he just can't hear the notes anymore. And I just love how they portray that. Like essentially, it just feels like the world is just getting flooded, and all of a sudden you just hear the sound of the keys hitting the wood, but it's not like the sound that the piano makes. You know, it's just like ivory on nothing. It just feels like muted. And essentially, like his piano just starts getting sloppy, and he just can't do it. And essentially, he just can't get over I guess the death of his mom, and it's just kind of stuck in time, and he eventually meets someone who he's supposed to be playing wingman for one of his friends, this girl that plays the violin, and she ends up just like kind of forcing him to get back into playing the piano, and you kind of see him just kind of grow as a person and just kind of, just realize that he has to grow out of that and just move on with his life, otherwise it's just gonna go past him. And I really love, like, I don't know, I guess just the way they did it, I just love those kind of messages. It's very feel good, because it makes you kind of reflect and realize, like, man, like, life is kind of short, and do I really want to spend the whole time, like, just kind of, I don't know, just dwelling on what went wrong instead of, what kind of makes me happy, even if it means, I guess in his case, like, continuing to play the piano at all and doing something else, or maybe it is just playing the piano again, but maybe in his own way and not the very strict way that his mom made him play. And man, if you love classical music, like, you will love this show, just because the amount of detail and attention they give to the piano playing is, I mean, I've just never seen a show like this. Actually, well, to be fair, I guess it's kind of like the other, like the bread anime I've seen, the cooking anime I've seen, like, they definitely give that same amount of attention to detail to, I guess, the equivalent of piano playing, because you definitely hear a bunch of classical pieces, and I guess kind of like Fantasia, they attach, like, a lot of, like, thematic moments to a lot of these pieces, so you kind of see, like, oh, like, when he's playing this piece, it's kind of a reflective of his relationship with his mom, or when he's playing this piece, it kind of shows how he's, like, falling in love, and, like, it kind of plays higher, but they're all, like, super catchy, and just, I don't know, I mean, like I said, I love the piano, and I love listening to the violin. They're probably, like, my two favorite, like, instruments to just listen to, so that might be a little biased, but yeah, I
feel like I could second you. You sent me a few of the songs to check out, like, just by themselves without the context of the show. And yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily a piano or violin enthusiast, but it's not your bias there. They are good.
Mm-hmm. And, like, not even to mention that one of the pieces they play at some point just happened to be, like, when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, this is the Sleeping Beauty theme. And I know, yeah, Once Upon a Dream. And then that's actually when I looked it up, and that's when I found out that it actually predates the Disney movie by many, many years, and that's how we found that out. And I was like, oh, Disney.
Shattering Disney dreams.
Et tu brute. But but yeah, it's weird. Like, I feel like on my first viewing, I mean, the anime is only 24 episodes long, and I think most people will enjoy it. I mean, there is, like, kind of a heavy romance plot point to it. I wouldn't say it's, like, the center of it, but it is kind of what's kind of driving the plot forward. But I mean, at the heart of it is about, like I said, about loss and grief and trauma. But yeah, after I finished the show, I definitely felt like I really like that show. I definitely want to watch it with my sister. But then I rewatched, like, the last episode, like, just rewatched it, just, I guess, now seeing how it ends and having, I guess, the full picture. For whatever reason, I guess ever since I started going back and listening to the music, damn, like, it destroyed me. Like, I don't know, like, it almost got, like, a second wind of, like, just how, I guess, for lack of a better term, just how beautiful I thought, like, this anime was. Like, it actually, like, brought me to tears so many times, and it still actually does. Like, I'll actually listen to the soundtrack on loop. It's literally just classical piano music. Like, literally, I even bought the soundtrack actually straight from Japan, and it's funny because it's just, like, I guess they're piano covers of the original. Like, there's Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata in there, but it's like a rendition that's way faster that I never heard before. I could, like, I guess now that I know that it is Moonlight Sonata, I could kind of hear it in there, but Moonlight Sonata is super slow, and, dun, 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 most people know that one. But yeah, I'll listen to those, and, like, I don't know, they just kind of give me that, like, so much joy to hear, but also, like, they just make me so sad because they remind me of the show, and it just, like, yeah, they just bring me to tears, especially the ending. And I know, like, part of it does have to do with the fact that I can relate to a lot of stuff that happens, for better or worse, and obviously that will affect me more than it would someone else that hasn't experienced, like, a loss like that. But even so, like, and just like the way like a lot of the characters are portrayed are just done so well, and they're just so likable and just like very not over the top. Like some are, but never to the point of other animes where you're just kind of annoyed by them. It just felt like, yeah, that is what a character would do. And I really loved it. Like, I would really recommend it if you just want to see. I mean, if you love piano and you're into watching like a more chill anime that's more of a drama and less of a high action, then I would definitely recommend it. Also, side note, I never thought I would ever notice lips so much in an anime. This is like the only anime I've ever seen where like they draw the lips or they shade them in such a way that they just really stand out on like almost every character. Because normally, the lips are just like one straight line, but everyone has like defined lips. But I just really quickly, like, if you end up really enjoying this one, I would really recommend you check out Anohana, the flower that we saw that day, which is made by the same studio, A1 Studio. And yeah, that's another story about loss, but it's more about redemption and like kind of dealing with like regret. And that one's also like a tearjerker. That one did get me at the end, but that one's kind of like you kind of sit. That one's 11 episodes too, so maybe you might want to check out that one first. But it's like it builds up all the way to the final episode where you get like this just really nice emotional payoff. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go back to something a little more actiony or comedic for my next anime. I think I got my satisfaction from them.
You got your quota, your fill?
Yeah, I got my fill for now. I think my heart can only take so much. Although, after having seen these, I did look up some lists of like, top 10 like saddest animes, and sure enough, like both of them were on there. But there is like a number one that has been consistent throughout the board that I constantly keep hearing is like almost masochistic to go through. So maybe I'll.
Jesus.
So. Definitely, obviously going to check that one out, but definitely not right now.
Obviously, I'm going to do that.
Because, like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the same thrills I get from action, the same kind of stress I get from suspense and, like, thrillers, and, like, that same kind of high I get is, like, the same kind of high I get when I'm brought to tears from, like, a drama. It's, like, I don't know. It's, like, I just love that. But I kind of feel like the tear jerkiness or, like, I guess, that emotion I get from dramas is almost a little stronger than the thrills I get from those other ones, or you humor. I guess it's just. I mean, I guess sadness and crying is like it's definitely a more powerful feeling sometimes. I mean, sometimes you do cry because like you're just so happy. It's just.
I
mean, if a cartoon can make me do that, or an anime, I mean, if any film or any story can make me do that, then, I mean, I just love that. God, like Coco, Jesus. And a bunch of other stuff. But then again, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't... Most people that know me will know that it doesn't take a lot to bring me to tears. I mean, I could listen to Gusty Garden Galaxy, the song, on a car ride home, and that'll bring me to tears just because it just makes me so happy to hear it, or I just love it that much. And
that's just a Mario game.
Yeah, so...
Versus something as heavy as this.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Maybe I take a lot of things I listen to, I just get really into them, I guess. I don't know. I would really.
You wear your emotion on your sleeve. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, damn.
The only thing that I have to add to Light in April, and this is totally inappropriate, but
that's a good preface.
The only time that I've ever heard your Light in April is when I listened to this podcast where they're sponsored by Crunchyroll. I assume you watch that on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, it's also on Netflix though. But yeah.
Oh, okay. So these guys that host this podcast, they're not anime people. They were just sponsored by them, and so the guy reading off the ad is reading off all these names like Girls und Panzer, I guess is one of them, about girls in a tank, and then like Zatch Bell, and then you hear one of the guys in the background go, Zatch Bell? No, that's not a real anime. And the one that always gets me is when he goes, "Your Lie in April," and then one of the cast members, his name is Ryan Scott, and he's got like this unusually high pitched voice, like very nasally, like, and all his cast members make fun of him for it, and so when he goes, "Your Lie in April," one of the other guys goes, "Hey, that's my wife." That's it's like
That's just always what you associate with
the link. Listen, man. Sometimes no.
I just like the follow up of it's just really powerful, emotional anime. It really like just hearing the music affects me deeply. But there's a your wife joke.
But,
no, I know it's just funny. The exposition's funny. No, it's funny that's literally the only association you have.
Well, it's funny because like I'm sure that those guys have no idea.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
What a powerful anime.
Yeah. But that's true of like, especially like podcast. That's why we don't have Raid Shadow Legends, guys. Because if you have to do ad copy for podcasts, tonally it's so weird. Like you're promoting things you don't know about, unless you're telling me you're secretly Raid Shadow Legend fans. But
yeah.
Or Raid. Is it Raid or Rage?
Raid.
I don't even know.
RAID.
Raid.
I was saying Rage, like against the machine.
Raid.
The machine being ad copy
Raid.
in this case. Anyway, never mind me. Continue.
Right. So Angel, you said that you want to go back to action animes.
Oh yeah,
right?
so definitely need a.
So does Promare is Promare a good transition?
Oh, it was definitely like just what I definitely needed. Like I
was like the palate cleanser.
Oh yeah, like I watched that movie initially with my brother sometime last year, but we, like me being me, like I took us to the wrong theater. We got to Cinemark like at the time it was supposed to start, like 5 minutes before we would have made it in time. But we're like, oh, we're in the wrong Cinemark. We have to go to the one in Carson, and I think we went to the Downey one. So when we got there, we missed like the first like 25-ish minutes of the movie, and we were like, all right, maybe it's just going to be exposition or something. But yeah, I mean that movie, and I did buy the Blu-ray. Like I got my nice steelbook, and I did watch what I missed, and I was like, damn, I missed. We missed a lot. Like we missed a really awesome action scene. Like that movie just oozes style, and it's one of those like awesome reminders of why action in anime, I feel, is not really something you see. I mean, to that level, I mean, I don't know. I can't really think of too many like Western examples of like super crazy fight scenes that make me go like, Jesus, that was awesome. Like I could think of like Attack on Titan, Motherfucker 100, some Demon Slayer stuff, even stuff from Naruto. And then I'm trying to think of like Western stuff, and I'm just kind of drawing a blank where I was left like kind of mind blown of how awesomely choreographed something was. Maybe like Spider-Verse. I mean, that movie like looked awesome, but
I guess a lot of people point to Avatar, Last Airbender, and Legend of Korra for like good choreographed like
that
Western,
is true. I mean, that is a Western one, but it was also like
shows.
It's like inspired by, obviously it's like a heavily inspired anime show.
Oh yeah,
even like Teen Titans
by anime. Yeah,
I mean like that also has a very inspired anime. But I mean, I want to see something animated the way like Western animation is animated, because that has its very own style that's really awesome. I mean, I love them both, but I just haven't seen something to that extent.
I just don't think action is as relevant, not as relevant, but Western animation doesn't do action in the same way. Like it's not. That's why it's very, like, honestly, a better analogy, and not even on the same level, is like Fury Road, like Mad Max Fury Road. I know it's live action, but that was all very meticulously choreographed. And if you watch it, it's kind of just like all over, like all this crazy stuff happening. That's honestly, from what you're saying, I haven't seen this, but it sounds more analogous than anything that Western animated show's ever done.
Yeah, and I mean, some Western, I mean, like freaking Primal, like, I mean, that has like really cool action, but I mean, I want like way over the top. I mean, like Studio Trigger is like one of the masters of just taking like they don't know what their limit is on like how far you can take a fight. I mean, this is like Anime the movie.
Let's talk about just the background a little bit. Yeah, Studio Trigger is their production company, the animation house, the studio.
Yeah, Studio Trigger. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Studio Trigger. Yeah. So this movie was directed by the founder of Studio Trigger, who also directed one of my favorite animes of all time, Gurren Lagann. Did you ever see Gurren Lagann?
I watched most of it, and I did see kind of like the ending of it, just because I haven't seen it in one take, basically. But I've seen like enough of it to.
Oh well, yeah. Well, the ending of it is definitely like you said, really, really over the top, and you can see some of the inspiration from that show into here. If not, you don't have to see the entire thing. They did release 2 movies, which basically capture like all the important stuff.
So like the Evangelion stuff.
Yeah, sort of like that, but even the ending is like very heavily is like even more over the top than what the anime did, and the ending of the anime was already really, really over the top. So, this Promare, it's like a mix of Gurren Lagann and Fire Force, which you
it's like a better Fire Force.
Yeah, and I only saw the first 2 episodes of Fire Force, but it's also just it's very much a mecha anime movie, like right? Or would you consider it more action than mecha?
I mean, it's definitely like a mecha action movie, but yeah,
true.
Because I mean, the mecha. Well, actually, no. I was gonna say like, I mean, they're pretty small, but then it gets really crazy.
Yeah, and like the entire movie looks amazing. It has some crazy, like, awesome visuals. The animation's awesome. Even the 3D stuff, which is usually pretty hit or miss, I feel like they hit it 100% in this movie. There's a term for that, right?
Well,
it's
the art direction,
3D CG, or it's just called 3D CG.
Yeah,
right? I think that's what they use.
Yeah, 3D CG. I mean, it's actually 3D. I mean, it's just like heavily cel shaded, but they just made it look really nice. And I mean, yeah, the colors are just like super vibrant. Like, it's just a really pretty movie to look at. And I also just love how, like, all the fire is portrayed as like triangles, and all the reflective light is portrayed as squares.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very stylish movie. Like, it just kind of reminds me of like Spider-Verse, how that movie had like a very distinct visual style that you're like, oh, like that looks very Spider-Verse-y, like this.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the little touches of like whenever a new character or new group was introduced, they put like the huge letters of like their name in the background, and even the mechs got them. And I think I only caught this once, but the names actually like interacted with the background. I don't know if you saw that towards the end where.
Oh man,
did you?
I guess I don't really remember that part specifically for the ending, because I only rewatched the beginning. But
right.
I did think it was weird when I guess maybe not weird, but like how they introduced their names in the background when they were showing like a TV broadcast of them later, like that same name thing popped up in the back. I'm like, wait, that was like that actually happened in real life and that was recorded. But but yeah, I mean, like that movie is definitely that kind of humor though. But
yeah, did you see the English dub or the Japanese dub?
Japanese dub.
Like when in the theater, it was the Japanese
dub? Well, yeah, with subtitles.
So I saw I saw the English dub. I mean, the English cast was mostly fine. It wasn't that bad. Like, I didn't recognize the main character, Gallo. I didn't recognize his voice actor, but like they already made him look like Kamina from Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, blue hair and everything.
Why not just get Kamina's voice actor? And so the other main character, Leo, I couldn't figure out who he was voiced by, but apparently he was voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, who is mainly known for voicing Ichigo from Bleach.
Huh.
And was also like the original Black Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Dude, damn, I met him so many times at Anime Expo.
Yeah.
Wait,
and, like,
a Power Ranger?
He was the main character. Yeah, he was a Power Ranger. He got into voice acting a long time ago. Yeah, but like he voiced the second main character, the first. I guess he was like the beginning antagonist.
Before the movie kind of takes a turn pretty early on too. But
yeah, really. I thought that was a little tropey of like, well, spoilers for Promare, but it's the kind of thing of like the two rivals got to team up together to stop the mutual enemy kind of thing. But I mean, I still enjoyed it. Some other voices that were in there was like Kari Walgren, who voices Haruno from Fooly Cooly. I don't know if you ever saw Fooly Cooly.
I did watch Fooly Cooly. I haven't watched the sequel show, but I haven't really heard a lot of...
Oh man, I saw...
Is it worth watching?
Yeah, I saw the first one. No, it's not. It was so disappointing. And I saw the first 3 episodes of the second one, and I was like, no, I just can't get into this.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the first one, but it was just kind of like lightning in a bottle. But
yeah, absolutely. I could have sworn that when I saw the trailer, this wasn't taking place on Earth. I thought it was like some post-apocalyptic world. So I was like super surprised when it took place on Earth and like not like the near future, but yeah, it was like, huh, weird. This is just taking place in like regular civilization.
It's approaching what could have been a post-apocalyptic Earth, I guess. That's what they're trying to escape from.
Yeah, definitely towards the end. And man, did Fire Force come out way before this? Did the manga Fire Force come out way before this? Because like, how do you not just?
I mean, because there are a lot of parallels to it. Right? Like the same kind of thing happens. Like some people will, like, I mean,
spontaneously.
Yeah,
combust.
like the premise is essentially that in both sides, like people just spontaneously combust, and some of them either just straight up. Well, I guess in this one, people don't just straight up die. They just essentially. It's like a mutation. It's basically X-Men, except everyone has fire powers.
Yeah.
And in the other one, people either died or they become these like hell demons, and they both have like a firefighting rescue team that's specifically sent out to stop these very specific fire people, because it's it's different from a normal fire. It requires a little more force, a fire force, if you will. But
yeah, fire force. Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
I really loved at the end where they after what's it, Gallo saves Leo when Leo's in like that dragon form. And they get dropped off in that lake. That like robot, its name is like Deus. And then it's like, I'm gonna give you the Deus Ex Machina. I was like, okay, well, I mean, literally the solution to all their problems is literally called the Deus Ex Machina. But I don't know. I had a good time watching it. I wish I had seen it in theaters.
Yeah, I mean that movie. I mean, it doesn't take it so seriously. So being like that on the nose, like you definitely just get like a little chuck out of it. You're like, oh, of course. But
yeah. And it's funny. It's got the same like humor that Gurren Lagann has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I would say, like
especially the main character's got.
I'd probably just say like
vibes.
At most, like character design wise, I feel like it takes a lot from like Kill la Kill. Like I feel like a lot of characters kind of look like they just have the same like body type, just like kind of super big upper bodies and just like scrawny limbs. But yeah, like that movie, like I feel like a lot of the action, especially like towards the end, like definitely like just needed to be seen in theaters. I mean, it's kind of like how I know like if you guys saw Spider-Verse in theaters, like that's like a movie you really want to see on a huge screen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I wish I had seen that in Dolby Vision too. That probably would have been super.
Somehow I fell into a screening of that. Like I wasn't planning to, but I saw it in like it had like Dolby Atmos and like the 4K screen and et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, oh, this was lucky because I didn't expect, I didn't know Spider-Verse would require something like that. Not require it, but benefit that much. It really did.
But yeah, visually striking animated movies are like. Can you think of another one that looks this good?
I mean, like not in this particular stuff, but like that other movie I talked about, like Princess Kaguya. Like I felt like that one also just has like a very distinct, like just awesome like art style that just kind of goes all the way with it. And honestly, like a lot of Ghibli films just kind of like go this route, but in a more hyper realistic way instead of this very like very nice
over the top action crazy.
There aren't too many like that, unfortunately. Like I mean, I would definitely say like check out Metropolis. That's like another just like really nice looking film, but this one just has like way more style. Like it's like I don't know, it just has its like its way own identity. It's just really cool. Yeah,
I like it when they have their own identities, but I hate when like you saw the My Hero Academia movie, right?
No, I still have to watch it.
Oh, not the new one, the first one.
I've had both.
Oh, you haven't seen both? Okay, so what I really hate about that movie is that it just looks like an episode of the TV show. It's like they put almost like no work.
Oh, okay.
Only at the end.
Yeah, like
I feel like sometimes can't that also go the other way though? Like I feel like sometimes like like with the Pokemon movies, obviously different quality of anime, but the Pokemon movies, like I remember when I saw them in theaters, I'd be like, oh, there's random 3D things shoved in here because they need to make it a movie.
Yeah,
Even as a kid, it stuck out as almost worse.
I mean,
in
like,
some instances.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, usually when you go to a movie, you expect to see like better quality, and sometimes like they get a bigger budget for it. So, like in Pokemon's case, like sometimes that just meant the characters get shading, and you get like a few 3D assets here and there. But like, I mean, this definitely felt like a movie and not like a TV show, and that's kind of disappointing to hear that. Yeah, like My Heroes. I mean, well, that one was released theatrically too, so that is kind of weird.
Yeah, they both were. Yeah, but like the Naruto movies, some of them look amazing compared to the TV show.
Yeah, that's true. Although they do have some that also look...
The animation is much more fluid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there are some that do look bad too. So, I don't know. It's a hit or miss with anime movies.
It is funny because...
for like TV shows, but...
It's funny because like a lot of...
independent stuff like this looks usually awesome.
It's funny because like the business of anime, sometimes it feels like they try to be as money pinchy as possible in every shot that they do, just so they can squeeze in as much as they can, like, of that money into like all their action shots, which is probably why they come out the way they do and they're so like over the top. Just because, like, I mean, one of the best examples is probably Evangelion, where you have so many scenes where it's just a static image and nothing's happening, but then the very few times they have action, like, it looks really, really cool. But then, I mean, like, you could see where they're cutting corners, and also it's also really nice when you get them. I mean, that's probably why it's better in movies, especially like this one, where the action just keeps coming and like it never really feels like it's trying to skimp on you. But
true,
yeah, it's one of the things.
So, I mean, yeah, everybody watch Promare. It's, even if you don't like anime, it's a super slick action movie.
Mm-hmm.
Robot action movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a good popcorn
I
flick,
think,
as people would call it.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we've hit the 2-hour mark.
Almost exactly.
I think. Yeah, almost. Well, a little past 2 hours. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Unless we missed anything that you gentlemen want to talk about.
I don't think so. I think that was a solid 2 hours of what we've been up to.
All right, perfect. So let's call it there. Let us know what you thought about this episode, either in the comments or on Twitter at randomnintendo.com. Nope. Randomnintendo.com. Nope.
Third time's a charm, Kevin.
At Random Nintendo on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Stitchers. We are Random Nintendo.com on YouTube. You can follow us on our individual Twitter accounts. Jason is at JSR7. Oh, man, I didn't write it down this week. Angel is Weiro_O, WEIRO_O.
Yep, and it's Weiro, but yeah.
Weiro. All right. And I'm Kevin Gomi, KVNGOMIE. Yeah, that'll do it for this episode. And we've had it for these last 2 weeks. All right, Jason's just going to do the final word for these episodes.
Can I put in a request instead of a word? Can we make our own Run the Jewel style TV show outro and just insert it? Is that
that's
doable?
Your final word?
Nope.
Damn. All right.
Nope.
Wow, is that my final word? That's okay. Bye, everyone.
Nope. That works.